Hello and welcome all to the Ball Boys podcast. This is episode 3. You're joined by Himesh and Branham again for your weekly catch up on the results and also a hot topic that we're keen to discuss this week. I think it'll be a good one again.
Yeah,
Um,
super excited for this one. Yeah, been buzzing for it. So let's go on to it. The topic this week is rating our best player from each team so far. This is going to be a two-parter. We've split the teams up, the 20 teams in the Premier League table, 10 and 10 between us, and we'll be doing 5 each this week and then 5 each next week. And today we're going to kick it off with I'll be doing Sheffield, Fulham, Wolves, Chelsea, and Spurs. And Hims, you're going to do.
I'm doing City, Brighton, Palace, Leicester City, and Leeds.
Cool. So there you go. And
Hope we don't upset anyone.
yeah, exactly. So this is based off our opinion, a little bit of research, but obviously watching and based off of that, what the feelings we got off players, how they
Yeah.
performed, how we think they performed. So yeah, happy, and in fact we encourage it. Like comments, get in there, and let us know what you think about our picks, what you think the picks are going to be. But without further ado, Hims, I'll let you go first.
I think first up, I'm going to pick my less controversial, let's say,
Yeah,
team.
yeah, ease them into it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Palace first up.
What
Um,
foreplay? Foreplay.
yeah, Palace first up. It was a tough one, this one. To be fair, I've not watched many Palace games this season,
Yeah,
and it was difficult to actually come up with a player. So I just went purely on stats in this one.
yeah,
And as you'll notice through the players I've picked in the next few teams, it is looking throughout the teams, as in positions in the team.
yeah,
But the only one that really stood out for me is Wilfried Zaha at
yep,
Crystal Palace. I think he has been the leading guy, and I think moving him into a more upfront central role this season has actually benefited himself in terms of goal scoring.
yeah,
He's on 9 goals this season already in the Premier League. 10 is his highest return ever in the Premier League. So he's only
yep.
one off that with about 10 or so, 8, 9 or 10 or so games left to go. 2 assists, though. I was debating whether should I put in there 2 assists compared to like his usual, like I think it's
Maybe him being the focal point of the attack though means that
exactly
it's
that.
got to
That's where
sacrifice that part.
yeah, exactly. That's where I cut him some slack on that front. But yeah, like as I said, there wasn't any anyone else really. I wrote down Eberechi Eze.
Yeah,
I hope I pronounced his name right. He's been great coming into
yeah, I
this
like Eze
Palace
a lot.
team. There was big expectations with them signing him, and it
Yeah,
looks like he's like
really,
one of
really good
those few
player.
young, yeah, exactly, one of those few young players that has actually been able to just fit into a Premier League team and look like they actually belong there, which is
Genuinely
refreshing to
surprised he's
see.
he's at Palace. I thought he'd be in for a bigger move, to be honest. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Zaha is the player to go for. He's comfortable in Palace. Obviously, him going to United and having that pressure on him, I think he's found a home, and I'm happy if he doesn't move. Like, shows a bit of loyalty, and yeah,
It's like Benteke, isn't it? He was very good in that Villa team, but when he had his move to Liverpool, maybe expectations, maybe the pressure, literally is too
yeah,
much for
for
some
sure.
players. There's not that expectation where they have to deliver an 8 out of 10 role.
I mean, he was basically replacing one of the best strikers in the world, right? So,
Yeah, and that
so
doesn't help.
exactly. But yeah,
Although he did score an absolute world beater against United,
oh yeah, yeah,
that overhead
yeah,
kick.
yeah. Yeah, that was fucking quality.
um,
Really, really good goal. I'll kick my picks off
yeah,
with I'll kick it off with Sheffield United, going with Chris Basham. As I was saying to you before we started this, I've watched a lot of football this year, particularly with lockdown and stuff. There's not much else to do, so I've watched a lot of football. Like I mean, I'm talking about I've sat down and watched Newcastle. You said I've watched Palace this season. I've literally watched things I'll probably never sit down to watch. What Sheffield and West Brom are probably the two teams that I have just not bothered to touch because I mean I watched like one West Brom game and regretted it instantly.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
that's
they're
just
a tough team to watch
yeah.
as well.
That's actually like I'm not trying to offend anyone. In fact, I have the utmost respect for those two fans, that sets of fans, if they're sticking by and watching their teams. But for Sheffield, it's a tricky one, man. Really, really poor this season. I don't really think there's any standout performers. I really like Sander Berge, but he's been injured, barely played this season, and so I couldn't really pick him. And they've dropped their level, like they're as a club, they've dropped their levels so much. So I went for a guy who I thought was hasn't really suffered in terms of individual performance, and that's Chris Basham. As I say, I think they're not. I think going forward is where they have their problems, as in they don't really have any goals in that team, and it showed in their inability to score. But I think their defense is one of the parts that has been okay at times. I think particularly noting performances against United. That was a big result for them. But yeah, just reeling off a few stats. Chris Basham is a player who's got a 90% pass rate success, which is obviously standard for a centre back, but still good in that he's not giving the ball away. An 82% tackle success, so he's winning
That's
more than
quite
eight out
high,
of
yeah.
10. Yeah, more than 8 out of 10 tackles. Just to compare, John Stones has been an on-form centre back this season, has 85% tackle success, so it's a comparable rate. And he's got 26 interceptions, which is a really high number for comparing. Obviously, they're more susceptible to more attacks. But
Yeah.
yeah, Basham's just a guy I think whose levels haven't dropped. He's retained some sort of individual performance, and he looked okay to be honest. And particularly against that United performance, I think they put in a good shift.
Yeah, I think I would say the same, and I don't mean to just agree with you, but I was going to say one of the two centre backs. I kind of write off the midfield and the up front purely because of where they are in the league.
Yeah.
No one's really showing up and doing what they need to be doing, really. But yeah, there's not much more else to say, really, apart from, yeah, I agree. I think one of the two centre backs. Let me take what we're saying about maybe waiting for more controversial ones later, but I think I'm going to hit one of my first ones up this one,
Okay. All right.
just to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leicester City. They're having a very good season. I don't think many people would have. Why do you look like you're waiting? You
I
look
don't
like
know.
you're
I
on
don't know what you're gonna
edge.
say. I don't know what you're gonna say.
um, yeah, they're having a good season.
Get on with it.
But my pick is Wilfred Ndidi. I just love him. I think he's such a great player. I'm surprised one of the bigger teams hasn't gone in for him at this stage. He does his job very, very well, rocking their midfield. Gives literally that front three plus Madison room to do whatever they want. He just gives that team such good balance. Yeah, he's been mightily impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I it's definitely controversial because I don't agree with it. I would have gone for. Well, I don't know who I would. I probably need to give it a bit more thought. But I was thinking probably along the lines of Madison's been good this season. Vardy's kept up his goal scoring rate.
I just thought they were
Really,
too
really
easy,
good clip.
and also on Madison, I feel like Madison has had a good last month or so.
Yeah, yeah, no, for
That's
sure. I was
boosted
going to say that
everything.
as, but I was all even going to say I think Tielemans. When you said controversial, I thought you were going to go for him, but and I would have said I actually agree with you because I think Tielemans has been absolutely fantastic this season. I do like Ndidi, and I think he's a really top player, and I agree with you that he may end up at a bigger team.
He's 24.
I think I just don't know if he's been standout for me though. That's the only thing.
But in that role, it's much more not being the standout every week
Mm.
that makes you that good player. But yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to my next pick is Fulham. I felt like a little bit of sport for choice here. I think Scott Parker has done pretty okay with his team. I think he had a really rough start, but he's corrected the ship somewhat, and they look like they're in with a chance of surviving this season, which
Yeah.
at the start they just didn't look like that at all. My guy is a guy that I picked, who's followed up with two very, very good performances against Spurs and Liverpool, is Joachim Andersen, uh, who is, I think, and as I say, I was sport for choice. I was looking at Lookman, who I think has been a good addition. I think Ola Aina, their fullback, been decent. And
Alfonso Areola.
yeah, I think Areola's been pretty good. He's kept like nine clean sheets in the Premier League, for which a relegation battling side is not bad at all. But I think Anderson has been unreal. I think his leadership that he's brought to the team. I mean, he's on loan
They made him captain, right?
and he's captain.
Yeah.
He's 24 years old for a centre back that is incredibly young. He's taken the armband in the new league for a newly promoted side. At 24 years old is speaks volumes. His performance against us was amazing. Even though they lost 1-0, it was a really commanding performance. He boasts 94% pass accuracy. He doesn't lose the ball, including a 48% long pass accuracy. His long balls, his balls over the top, and his distance passing is basically almost getting half of them right, which is an extremely good option to have. Obviously, no one wants to play Route 1 football, but sometimes you need it. You never know what you need, especially in the Premier League, the most competitive
Yeah.
league in the world. The fact that he offers that, and he's 22 appearances, 22 starts for a guy that's come on loan. As I say, 24 years old. He's completely bossed it, and just a fantastic player. And as I say, against Spurs and against Liverpool, I thought his performance against Liverpool was
Yeah, no,
unreal.
he was very good.
But yeah, he takes the cake for me.
Yeah, I think whilst they've been very good going up front, it was between, for me, it would have been a toss up between him and Areola. Keeper coming in, both literally the two of them coming in and becoming stalwarts in a Premier League defence
Yeah,
is
and
astounding to the
Ariola was
levels.
a bench player as well before he came over, so he hasn't been playing. He's suffered from not having a lot of game time, which is tough
Yeah,
for a keeper.
yeah, no, both very good. But yeah, I think I'm with you there on that pick. Much more
Yeah,
less controversial.
yeah.
uh,
I don't think Ndidi was actually it's probably not as bad as I made it out to be, but I just
I
don't
think
know.
you were
That's
probably a
a,
bit taken back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which is what I wanted anyway. I didn't want it to be plain sailing and pick
Fair
Jamie
enough.
Vardy or James Madison. I
Yeah,
think
fair enough.
there were cop outs them two. Moving on to my third pick, we'll go to Brighton. I feel like they've had consistent performances across the three players that I'm going to mention. The three being Basuma, Sully
Like that.
March, and Lewis Dunk. So those were the options that I narrowed down to, I shortlisted. And
Yeah.
then I looked into them a bit more. And maybe it's my defensive frame of mind here. I ended up picking Lewis Dunk
Okay.
as my pick here. They had a spell in the middle where they were keeping clean sheets
Mhm.
consistently for a long period of time. I think it was like 4 or 5 games they went without conceding a goal. And when you're that low in the table, that is a big thing. He's had I can't remember exactly how many appearances he's had. He's had 7 clean sheets, which I think is a good number for a relegation threatened team. And he's also chipped in with 3 valuable goals. And again, that's another big thing, I think, for a team down there. There's a toss up between him and Basuma for me. I think Basuma is quality.
Yeah, he probably would have been my pick if I had Brighton, but I can see where you're coming from with Dunk. I like Dunk a lot. I think solid centre back. I think he suffers from the fact that he's English but not an English star, which I think people talk about overrating English, but people underrate English talents a lot,
Yeah.
domestic talents, and I think he suffers from that a little bit. I'm not saying he's world class, he's
Yeah, of
completely
course, of
outstanding or
course.
anything, but he's a very, very good player. And as you pointed out, he's such an important player for them. Yeah. Next one's for me is Wolves, and we said this before. I think if anyone's watched episode 1, everyone probably knows who I'm going for here. It's Pedro Neto, 21 years old, and he has exploded. I think this year. I think he's 5 goals, 5 assists. Is not leaping off the page, but 5 goals, 5 assists is fairly consistent for a 21-year-old who has had massive, massive shoes to fill in terms of selling Jota, Jimenez getting injured very early on in the season. He's lost a huge offensive contributor in Jota and their best hold-up player, who in the style that Wolves play, which is quite reliant on using Jimenez as a focal point, takes a lot away from them. I think Pedro Neto just easily one of the best players. I think when I watch him, which I do regularly now, just he's so mercurial. He just
Yeah.
I
No.
love watching him. incredible 1v1 take on player. When he's 1v1 with another player, I just always feel confident in him winning the battle. I think he's one of the best at it in the league. And at 21, it's crazy. He's also got a 93% pass success for a final third player. That is insane. He takes care of the ball, which at 21 shows incredible maturity. And he's also got a 28% cross success rate, which is higher than Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes.
It just
Which I
makes you think
think,
that 5 assists would be a lot more had they had
yeah,
Jimenez fit.
yeah, exactly that. And he's created 47 chances in 28 games, which is the highest in the team, I believe. Might be wrong on that, but from what I'd researched, I think that's the highest in the team. Which, again, I want to reiterate his age because I think it is relevant. But even regardless of his age, I think he has taken the reins and he stepped up massively, and his future is looking incredibly bright. I mean, from a transfer perspective, this window, you giving me an option about who I would want to buy, I'd probably pick him.
Fair. No,
Yeah,
I think again, I'm with you there. He's just one of those players that you just love watching.
yeah,
Every time he's one of those players as well that you want their team to pass to as soon as possible,
yeah.
really. And he's as you said, he's so good 1-on-1. He reminds me a lot in that way of like maybe a Sadio Mane from last season or the season before, where their first intention is obviously how do I get past or where can I go with the ball, and then it's ball retention part as you mentioned.
Well, I was gonna say
Backing that up.
I've got in my notes. I was literally just gonna say that I think he has the potential to be as good as Mane as a 1v1 player because I think Mane is one of the best at standing up 1v1 against a defender and taking them on. I think he can be as good, if not better,
Yeah,
because he's only 21.
easy pick that.
I hope everyone got that, by the way. I really rate Pedro Neto if that didn't come
He's
across.
got wallpapers up in his room, and I'm not.
Yeah. It's not, but it's like the face of him. It's like several pictures of his face, like poster rather than just one big poster. Just all over. I got a pillow of his face as well.
Do you? Cool. Moving on. Leeds are my next pick. It's been a great season for them. I think their main priority was probably surviving, and I think a lot of part of surviving is
You're
having
gonna pick like Jack Harrison or someone
is
controversial.
they're keeping. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I think the main part, and I think they've had a great defense. Great, I would say a great defense, but a part of their defense is outscoring the opposition. Really,
Yeah.
they either score a lot or they concede a lot. And
Yeah.
with that being said, I think I'm going to side with the scoring element this time. And the standout player for me has been Patrick Bamford. I just think he's had his doubters for a long time now because he never made the grade at Chelsea. I think there was quite a bit of like,
Massively, yeah.
will he be able to
Massive
do it leading a line back in the Premier League? And a return of 13 goals and 5 assists in their first season back. That's impressive numbers, whoever you are, really. 18 goal contributions in a recently promoted team. He also is very good in the air. I think one of those players that you don't really hear about. He's great at leading the line. I think that's very important as well because a lot of times you need players that can make that run down the wings. He's always willing to run, and I think that's what's helped them a lot. And I think my brother put on a cheeky bet with aforementioned Biggie in the last podcast at the beginning of the season. Biggie bet him that he wouldn't score 10 goals this season. So
What Rick bet with Big Rick said that Bamford would score 10 and Biggie said he wouldn't.
he wouldn't, yeah.
Okay.
So Biggie, this is just confirming that you do owe him a nice steak at some point.
I want
yeah.
to say as well, what doesn't get said about Bamford is how good he is technically.
Oh yeah, sorry, I wrote that. I
Some of his-
completely glossed over that point.
Go on, I'll let you
No, go on, go.
cover that. I was just gonna say his finishes, some of them have been really, really, really good. Top
Yeah.
quality finishes, but his passing as well. His link up play. He rarely underhits passes. He rarely mishits passes. He's very, very refined as a footballer. And rumors and murmurings. I hear that Chelsea's youth system is the hardest youth system in the UK, or maybe in European football, one of the hardest in European football to make it through. And given that he's made it through that, it makes sense because he is, I think, like technically very, very refined. I think maybe probably maybe his athleticism was what got according to that
Yeah.
question, but I think he's massively answered that question that you said. As he said, will he do it? Will he be able to lead the line? Yes, is the answer completely. Fantastic for Leeds, but as you say, their play is like so fluid and it's so balls to the wall, go for it.
Yeah.
That you got all these players picking up goals and assists. Stuart Dallas, Alioski, Ayling. I think Ayling's been really good as well this season.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um,
Agreed.
but I think, yeah, Bamford is. Anything else on Bamford or
No, that's it.
cool? So my next team is Chelsea. And again, I think most people. I don't think this is going to be a controversial one or anything like that. But Mason Mount, a player who I've got to say, heading into this season, I had zero expectation for. Thought he was a bit overrated. Didn't think he deserved to be in the England team. And I've pretty much got egg on my face. I think he's proved me completely wrong. Again, I made the point about what I heard in terms of Chelsea's academy and I think that again proves right with Mason Mount.
Yeah.
Um, Going to play Championship football and come back to the Premier League, really developed well, and he's still only 22. But I think he shows exceptional maturity in that team. I think he's found his role as a box-to-box player, as a centre midfielder, that number 8 position, a complete workhorse. He can run for 90 minutes and twice a week, to be honest. But he has really good, again, awareness, positional sense. His passing, his ball striking is really, really good. A top ball striker in terms of his technique to hit a football, shooting, passing, crossing is all really good. So he can contribute offensively. He's a stalwart in that team, and he's for 2 managers this season. I think
Yeah.
there was maybe questions when Tuchel first came in, but he's answered those and he's back in and
He's probably one of the first names on that team sheet,
yeah, for
without
sure,
a
for
shadow of
sure.
doubt.
Which
Which is,
again at 22 is ridiculous.
and the amount of money they spent on midfielders and
Yeah,
that position.
I think he's unreal, and I'd go as far to say if I was to pick an England team right now for the Euros, he'd start for me.
Yeah, it's surprising, right? Because you wouldn't have thought
Really,
with everyone who they signed, those big names, the big names they already had at the club, like Pulisic and
I just thought
obviously,
he was really one-dimensional. I thought he was literally, essentially, what the way I described Hakim Ziyech right now, in that
oh
I
yeah,
feel
forgot
like
about him
Ziyech
as well. Yeah,
is a guy that needs to have space on the right hand side to be able to use his left foot. I thought Mount was similar in that you needed to get onto his right, you needed to be in around the middle, couldn't really do much more than play around the box. But yeah, I just thought he's so much more than that. He is so much more than
yeah.
that, and
Uh,
credit to him.
and he's 22. For a
22, yeah,
22-year-old
exactly.
to be such a key figure for that Chelsea team is incredible.
And I'd back him to put in a performance. Like he's not a guy that I don't see him as someone who would back down in terms of his mentality. I would back him to put in a performance against world-class teams.
Happy
That
with
rounds
that.
up for my Chelsea pick.
Moving on to my final team
Uh,
for this week, which is Man City. I'm going to go with Raheem Sterling. I'm joking.
yeah, I was going to say.
Absolutely joking.
Thought it was another Ndidi moment.
No, I think it was a toss-up between 3 players again. I think with each team, I tried to go 3 players. It's Gundogan, Ruben Diaz, and Kevin De Bruyne. KDB purely because he just delivers season after season after season. And he delivers stuff that, as we said last week, where you just don't expect anyone to be able to do what he does.
Yeah.
And make it look so effortless at the same time. Gundogan, I think he's somehow carried that City side in terms of a goal scoring perspective.
He stepped up massively.
Which I would never have
Massively.
expected. 11 goals. He's City's top goal scorer this
Yeah,
season.
and he's
They've had
been
goals.
sorry, I was just going to say he's just been such a big presence in the midfield as well, particularly when
Yeah.
De Bruyne was out.
They've had naturally City score a lot of goals and they have goals across the entire pitch. So whilst 11 goals might not sound astounding, because of the share of their goals, it is phenomenal that he's top there. Like you would never have thought that. And that Spurs goal he scored was just phenomenal. The way he dropped Sanchez.
Yeah. I'm
Let's
gonna
see
I'm
in
gonna
his
say
prime.
that I'm gonna say that's down to Sanchez being absolutely uncoordinated. More than it was
What are you
anything to do
saying?
with that.
Sanchez was your best defender at the start of the season?
No.
No, I'm joking. I'm just trying to buy it,
Oh,
go and buy
fine.
it.
I
um,
had
but
to
with
think about
all,
that. I was like, how drunk was I?
but with all that being said, I think my pick goes for Ruben Diaz.
Yeah, completely agree.
He's brought a level of consistency that City have been crying out
Massive
for a
expectation
long
with his
time.
price tag as well.
Huge expectation, another big money signing. He's not only improved City's defense, but he's improved other players around him, and I think that is a big point. And that's a natural leader. That's someone other players look at and go, okay, cool, we need to raise our levels. Similarly to what Van Dijk did
Yeah, I
when
was just
Van
going to say
Dijk
the
came
Van
to
Dijk
Liverpool,
effect. Yeah,
and it's much the same, and that's why there's comparisons between the two.
I think
Um,
Stones is having a similar Matip
Exactly
sort
that
of
Matip slash Gomez
trajectory.
moments where
Um,
you have someone as good next to them, like Cancelo, who was pretty much written off last season, but he's having another stellar season in right back. And that the pairing with Diaz and John Stones, going back to Diaz now,
yep,
is John Stone was out of that City picture last season
completely.
completely.
Now he's probably back in the England picture now.
Exactly that, and you'd have to take him on the back of this form.
Yeah,
Laporte,
displacing
Laporte
Laporte.
can't even get into
Yeah,
the team, and that's
is ridiculous.
he was the heralded as like their savior last season in terms of a defensive
He's a
point of
top. He
view.
still is. I mean, I'd
Of
take Laporte off their hands instantly.
of
And the
course
fact
you
that
would.
he's not playing, and that's I think you don't want to give all the credit to Diaz, but you have to give some of the credit to Diaz, right? Like in that he has, like you said, he's up the levels. Like as soon as someone does that, I think Roy Keane, as much as I hate him, talks about it a lot. When you have like a player that comes into the dressing room and raises everyone else's levels,
Yeah, exactly
um,
that.
and I think he's done that to the max, as you say. Like yeah, as you said, John Stones was so far away from that, getting into that starting 11. Like that he's done
Yeah.
that.
Some stats for Ruben Diaz.
Yep.
For City, he has the most clearances. He's won the second most aerial battles. Rodri was number one there,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
He's a
Um,
quite a big guy, and he
yeah,
big
and I think in
presence.
the role he plays, he's that first
Yeah.
line of defense, so it
Yeah.
does make
Yeah.
sense. Again, he was second most in interceptions for City behind Rodri. He has the most passes in Premier League. He's obviously a part of City's team who have the best record, most clean sheets.
I think he has a 96% part because I was looking at him when I was comparing other set because I picked Anderson and Basham, so I was
Yeah,
comparing them obviously as I think Diaz being the standard being set. He's got like a 96% pass rate and like a 92% tackle success rate.
yeah.
It's
So yeah, I was just
fucking
about to go into
outrageous.
the tackle. Yeah, 92% is what I
Sorry, I
put
stepped
down.
on your toes there.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
And he's obviously been since he's come into the City team. They've only conceded 13 Premier League goals in 27 appearances. That's phenomenal. And I obviously, as you said, you can't just give him the whole credit because obviously he's one pawn in that whole defense. But a lot of it is down to him.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
for sure,
that stability he's given them is phenomenal.
100%. He's so good, such a good
And
player.
apart from the United game this weekend, they genuinely didn't look like they were going to concede a goal. Like honestly speaking, it was like when will they be conceding the next goal? Because they were just so consistent in at the back.
He scores as well. I think you mentioned there, like
So he scored his first goal for City the week before, I think.
West Ham, right?
West Ham, yeah.
Yeah, constant aerial threat as well. Then, like,
Exactly that. He's both, as I mentioned earlier, it's at both ends, doing it at both ends. He's
um,
24, I think, if I'm correct,
yeah, something like I think he's like 23, 24,
which
which
is
is
again
yeah,
very
stupid,
young.
stupid. Yeah,
To think Liverpool bought Virgil when he was like 27 or 28.
yeah. Centre backs usually peak at
Yeah,
28, 30. Like
exactly.
that's when they start their prime. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, unreal. Like if his trajectory is obviously it's not always
It's not
straight
always.
line up,
Yeah.
but if it is, then fuck me, how good is he going to be in like 7, 8 years time?
I think that wraps that up. Would you agree with Ruben Diaz or
Yeah,
would you
yeah,
have another
100%.
pick?
He would have been my guy. I think Gundo deserves a shout, but I think I would have probably gone for Diaz as well. As good as Gundogan's been, I would have gone for Diaz as well. Cool. And then my last team is team I support, Spurs. And I think this is an obvious one.
Serge Aurier.
Serge Aurier. Yeah, Mr. Two Foot himself. Harry Kane. I think
Yeah,
pretty obvious. Probably enjoying the best year of his career at the moment.
easily.
16 goals, 13 assists. I haven't seen that kind of output in terms of a striker. That's crazy. Like the role he's taken on, still scoring complete worldies, especially once we move on to results. But yeah, it's been an unreal season. I don't want to go on too much about him because I support the team and I don't want to annoy annoy viewers.
He
But
reminds me, and you probably won't like this comparison, but and Arsenal fans won't either, and I think you probably know where I'm going now.
Henri,
Henri, in that he scores and the team play and everything else is.
well, he's on course to break Henri's or match it. Henri's record, I think, sits at 20 at the moment in terms of assists. As most assists in one season. I think he shares that with De Bruyne. Kane's 7 away from matching it, 8 away from breaking it, which would be if he has a 20 and 20 season. I think the only person close to him is that in that regard is Bruno Fernandes, who's at 16 and 16 and 10, I think. But yeah, I mean, just phenomenal.
Well, can't remember what Salah's numbers were in his first season because they would have been up there.
Yeah, I think he was like 30 goals and like 13 assists or something like that. What is really standout is how complete Kane is in terms of that, especially I guess that dropping deep role that
Yeah.
Mourinho's asked him to do. I think since Mourinho's joined
I'm going to make you explode.
Spurs, that whole thing has rung true because it's 54 goal contributions in 51 games for Kane since Mourinho's come in, and he has really, really evolved. 'Cause I didn't really think that Kane had that in him. I thought like he'd
Has he shown that in previous seasons?
He has. His passing has always been good. But in terms of getting into the positions he's getting into now, I guess that comes from having a coach telling him what to do in that sense. He never really did that under Pochettino.
That's the difference between certain coaches, right?
Yeah, Pochettino never really wanted that from him. That's just not the way that he played. He didn't want his striker to drop deep. He usually played with Eriksen or Ali in that position. But I think the way that Mourinho sets up allows Kane to drop in deep. And I think having Bale come into the team now as well is allowing runners to go in behind. And that's just helped Kane. But yeah, he's such a complete player in the air, both feet. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there.
I think easily probably up there as one of the best players in this season so far, individually, obviously speaking.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious one, that one. Sort of rounds off our first 5 picks for this week.
Cool, moving on to the results then. I hope you guys enjoyed that last part.
Yeah, and chime in with your opinions about what we said.
I think Leicester might be the one where people might get a bit annoyed, but hopefully they do. I think kicking off the first game of the weekend was Burnley-Arsenal. It finished in a 1-1 draw. My take from that game was...
bizarre goal.
Yeah.
Oh, Granit Xhaka. Oh, God.
All the hard work is done to repair his whole demeanour and egos, and that happens.
Yeah.
I guess that sums up the game. They should have won.
Probably can't believe his luck. Cannot believe his luck.
Yeah.
Chris Wood's face when he scored.
I think imagine everyone's faces at home.
He just didn't know whether to celebrate or not.
There was a bit of VAR issues. The handball. Did you think that was a handball quickly?
Yeah. I think.
Yeah. This is my point. Going back to last week, you can't say that's not a handball just because he's close. Like, how can VAR look at that and not say it's a handball? Just don't get it. It's stupid.
Weird.
Aubameyang still making me eat my words. Another goal this week.
Yeah, good run of form for him. I think Arsenal fans will hope he keeps it up.
But overall, I think that 1-1 draw is going to hurt Arsenal. They should have seen that game out. The next game was Sheffield United against Southampton. It finished 2-0 Southampton. Big points for Southampton there. Return to a bit of form.
Yeah, they got their bounce back.
10, that is.
I mean, they've been really up and down. They've been really good at times, grabbing some really important results, like winning at Anfield. Like I don't care like what form Liverpool are on. That's a huge result for them.
It's a freebie right now. If you need a win, just come to Anfield. Literally what it is.
But nah, yeah, I still rate Hasenhuttl as a manager. I think two 9-0s is not doing him any favors, but I think that's down to the squad not being that. Oh no, I'm not because it's 9-0. Like that's
You
everyone's at
can't
fault there.
justify. You could justify the one being like, oh, there's a bit of issues, but two.
Yeah, everyone's at fault, but it seems that that's a catalyst for them, and it kind of kickstarts their season. So yeah, I was expecting them to kick on. Great goal from Che Adams, by the way.
And that was his first goal in 16 games. So
Yeah, I think that's
it's a
big.
game of breaking a few voodoos that were around surrounding
Yeah,
him.
for sure. Hopefully for them, they can kick on and
I do like
earn, I guess.
Southampton as a club as well, so it would be sad to see them go.
Well, they're giving you so much, fucking much, haven't they? So.
Well, I mean, Lovren, a damaged Lallana for the best part of like 5 years. Suarez's replacement in
Ricky Lambert.
Ricky Lambert. Sheffield United still looking a bit down and out here, but they're only 3 points off West Brom, which I thought was a bigger gap there. But
No, they're both of them. Both those teams are pretty tragic at the moment.
Exactly. Speaking of Midlands teams, Villa 0, Wolves 0. Bit of a ball draw, really. Another clean sheet for Villa. Seems like they love racking them up.
Yeah. Well, it was a problem for them at the start, and now they're obviously without Grealish. I think, as we touched on last week, a lot of their play goes through him. But I think that's an important result for them. In terms of they just need to stay afloat until he gets back, and hopefully grab a few things. I think Watkins was really unlucky not to score in that first half. Would have been an absolute screamer if that went in.
Yeah. I have a fun stat for you here as well. Love these few little stat bits.
Yeah.
Under Dean Smith, Villa have only won 2 out of 12 home league games without Jack Grealish. Touching on that point we just made. Their last win was a 2-1 win against Bristol City in 2019. Brighton 1, Leicester City 2. Just like Southampton, really. Maybe not as bad, but Leicester returning with a dub finally.
Really
again.
Been a bit unfortunate with injuries in the sense their two most on-form attacking players, bar Vardy, have been now injured, sidelined. But Iheanacho stepping up again with a great finish, really composed.
I have major issues with that guy. That miss he did in the 2019-20 season when he was through a goal against, I think it was City. Oh, hurts my heart still.
Oh yeah. Crazy.
There was nothing dodgy in that. There was no Abu Dhabi bonus coming through or anything there.
Yeah. Nah, he's a really good finish. Yeah. Really good finish from him. Brighton just, I think, collapsed a little bit. Yeah, really soft goals to give away, I think, from their standpoint. I think they'll be really disappointed with that because they could have got a big result against Leicester. Particularly Leicester being slightly
hampered,
and not in the richest vein of form.
It's games like that for Leicester where it will kick them back into form, though.
Yeah, sure.
Picking up those wins going into crunch time. Speaking of teams you love watching, West Brom 0, Newcastle 0. You definitely watched that one.
Yeah. Bruce versus Allardyce.
It feels like a throwback from like 2005.
Yeah, I mean, it goes like Zidane versus Pep. And then probably Big Sam versus versus Steve Bruce.
Did you hear about there's not much to really talk about the game, but the most fun bit coming out the Newcastle camp was a Steve Bruce and Matt Ritchie bust up that was leaked.
Oh wait, this is I haven't heard about.
Oh, you've not heard about it? Apparently they had a little scuffle in the training ground and it was leaked by someone within the camp. And then Steve Bruce came out in his press conference saying, basically turned into like an FBI agent and was literally breaking down what happened and then how he was going to find who leaked the information and deal with it. It's just funny. It just made me laugh.
Steve Bruce channeling his inner Liam Neeson. I will find you.
That made me laugh. That was probably the most entertaining thing about Newcastle and West Brom this weekend.
Yeah, definitely watch that one.
West Brom 3 points off the bottom of the table.
Yeah, I think they got a horrendous goal difference as well, right? Like I think it's like minus 36 or something like that. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
I still don't know why they got rid of Slav. I thought Slav would have kept them up.
And moving on to my favourite game of the weekend, which was Liverpool losing at home again, which is becoming a bit of a theme and a bit of a common theme now. Against Fulham, your favourite team, aside from Spurs. Fulham, I think I'm going to start by saying Fulham deserved this. They were the better team on the day. Scott Parker, tactically, he's impressing me recently. He's getting a lot of the smaller things that he needs his players to do correct. And that's obviously blossoming into their performances as a whole across the whole game.
Yeah.
Liverpool, on the other hand, I don't know. I really, from a fan perspective, it's frustrating. Without this is literally just my point of view, and it's no excuse on the team performance because that has been bad. I don't know why it doesn't hurt as much.
Well, I was just going to say, I wouldn't be that bothered. I mean, you got so many players out injured. You've enjoyed 3 really good years with very little injuries and stuff like that. So just sweep the season under the rug, go again next season, right?
I think that the most annoying thing is losing at home consecutively for 6 games now. That's a big point. That is relegation form.
It is. I mean, it's obviously not great, but as I say, like you've enjoyed so many good things. Just sweep it under the rug. Klopp's done enough to keep his job, like in terms of not getting.
I cannot stand, and any Liverpool fan wanting Jurgen Klopp to go is just stupid. Like,
I don't think there's any collapse going to happen because you're going to have Van Dijk back next season. You're going to have, hopefully, you want Alexander-Arnold getting back to his best, which hopefully comes from the fact that you have defensive protection, so then he can do what he does.
I think that is a big thing. So a lot of our play has been pushed back, including the wing backs.
Your fullbacks just don't have the same thing because
they don't have the confidence of people covering them, and you got to remember that our best holding midfielder is playing in centre back, so you already lose that coverage there as well.
And I think quickly Jota as well. You're gonna have Jota back.
Yeah, he's rusty, but that's understandable after 3 months off. I think quickly just touching on Liverpool before, I don't want to really go on this kind of just, as you said, sweep it under the rug. It just looks like everyone's worn out and they've just lost interest, it seems.
I think
I don't know. Sorry to keep interrupting, but I don't.
No, go for it.
I don't know if there's like some sort of element where it feels like they did all that hard work last season and they didn't really get to celebrate it with the fans. I wonder
that's a tough part.
I wonder if that has impacted them a little bit.
Still in Europe, right?
So, yeah, 2-0.
I think at this point you focus on one.
Oh yeah, because I think our best route into there is probably arguably trying to win the Champions League now. I'll let you talk about Fulham quickly before we move on.
Just a good performance all round. Really well drilled, worked to perfection. A couple of really good performances. As I said, we touched on Anderson earlier in the earlier section. He was a monster in that game. So Fulham did what they had to.
Moving on to the Manchester derby. Surprise result for me.
Biggest result.
Also, at the same time, not so surprising. United winning 2-0 at the Etihad. For me, I wasn't surprised because there seems to be like a pattern emerging. Whenever Ole has bad results, I think he had 2 or 3 draws in a row in the Premier League, which kind of like threatened where they were in the league, let's say. He always ends up backing it up, or the team always ends up backing it up with a big result. You think of PSG, or you think of some of the results last season.
I don't know. I mean, I don't believe in the patterns and stuff. I didn't think United had a shot in the dark of winning, even though they have been good. Don't get me wrong, and I think they're justifiably the second best team in the country right now. 20 games unbeaten at home. Manchester derby, I thought they were going to close it out. I thought this was like one of those things where you've prepared your run for this, and you're really up for it. And I thought they were, City were just going to do a number on them.
Do you think City were complacent?
Potentially, yeah. I think maybe they didn't appreciate the 100%. Actually, no, I completely, yeah.
Going into the game, thinking they've already won it.
Why the fuck was Jesus doing what he's doing, thinking that that's 100% complacency, over eagerness, not thinking,
It's just going into the game thinking you won. That's like the most dangerous thing to do. I know people like Roy Keane and say we used to go into these matches already knowing that we'd already won, but I don't think it's a different mindset.
Confidence and arrogance, there's a fine line. So it showed. United definitely have the tools to hurt you if you don't take them seriously. One of the best players in the Premier League at the moment, and they did it. And even a clean sheet away from home at the Etihad, a huge result for them. So
Yeah, Luke
they could
Shaw
kick on, and
into that. Sorry, go on. I interrupt you
I
quickly.
was just going to say they could kick on, and the title race could be closer towards the end of the season than we
Yeah,
thought.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's 11-point gap with
Yeah,
what?
no, I don't think it will happen, but you never know. It could be the catalyst for that. I don't think City lack the mentality nor the quality in their squad for that to happen, but
They got too many players you can just take
who the
out and
fuck
put someone
knows?
else in.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw, I was going to say, surely he gets into that England team now on the back of this
Um,
season.
Probably.
Maybe not
I think there's
necessarily
good
that
competition
starts.
for it because I really like Chilwell.
Yeah,
And I think,
maybe into the squad though. You surely have to take
oh
him.
yeah,
There's not much else to say on that one.
no, yeah, I think that's
It's a
that.
good result for United, really.
Yeah,
Good little
huge
lift.
result for them.
Spurs for Palace won.
One of our better performances of the season. We dominated pretty much, but in very typical fashion, we conceded before the halftime. Listening to other Spurs fans' opinion, and I was listening to Jose's interview, and he said it was probably the best thing that could happen. And I agree. As we didn't sit, we when we come out the second half, we didn't rest because we were that goal sparked us alert to the danger, and the team played really well. Our build-ups
Yeah.
to attack, even though it was sort of the Bale Kane show and stuff, um, everyone played really well, and the build-up was good. Looked apart from the goal, looked solid, fairly solid defensively, as solid as we can be, I think.
Speaking
And
of goal, Harry Kane's goal was phenomenal.
yeah, really good goal. And I just want to say that the three-pronged attack is probably going to be a big thing for us in terms of two players are so much easier to mark out a game when you add a third, because usually I think as a team you can defend the center, the left, or the right. Rather, I don't think you can do all three. And when you have a third player, and that's what I think City have succeeded in the past, Liverpool
Yeah,
definitely have succeeded from that.
it's something
We
we've been mentioning the past few weeks because it's come to the forefront with Spurs recent the past few weeks where
if Kane drops deep and you
you've
mark Son's run, then there's not a load of other options. But now
exactly that.
adding
Yeah,
Bale just frees up some options, and Lucas Moura was good, I think, as well. And you could tell, I think they found it very hard in it to sort of mark three of them.
yeah.
And they played obviously 4-4-2. Yeah, that's all I really have to say on that.
Seeing as we're recording this on Tuesday, unlike our normal Monday, we do have the Monday night games: Chelsea 2, Everton 0, and
Tuchel
then
again,
West Ham 2 and Leeds 0.
yeah, Tuchel good performance from his team. Havertz, I think, had
A good
a
game.
better game. Yeah,
Yeah,
big price tag. I think that's hurt him quite a bit. Still think he's a quality player.
he's very
Great
young as
talent.
well. People forget
Yeah,
that.
I think he has potential. I think he's generational talent, and I think it will come to the forefront. But yeah, another professional performance from Chelsea.
And the same can be said about West Ham as well.
Oh
Another
yeah, West
professional
Ham are just
performance.
VAR, that dodgy offside rule. But as I said before, I've just learned. I think my only advice to Leeds fans now is just fucking accept it for what it is. But West Ham, good value for the win, I think, for the
Yeah.
most part.
Cool. I think that brings us up to date with last week's results.
Yeah.
Big wins for some teams and key wins for some teams. Moving on to my least favourite part of the quiz podcast.
It's only been one.
Yeah, but that one
Only
hurt,
had-
man. That
Oh
one
fuck.
hurt.
I think this
You
one's
walked it.
in my honest opinion. I think this is in terms of the questions. Should be a lot easier. I think.
Let's
Yeah.
crack on. Let's crack
As always,
on.
the quiz is on the upcoming games, and we have a few good ones, particularly the North London Derby. So let's kick it off with
Oh, is it
question.
North London Derby this weekend?
Yeah, yeah.
Big game.
Yeah, big game. There is a question on it. But that's not the topic of the first question. The first question is Newcastle and Villa are playing each other this weekend at St James's Park. This fixture last season ended 1-1, in which 12 English players made an appearance, either starting or off the bench. Can you name at least 5 of them?
Across both teams, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, across both teams.
Jack Grealish.
Yeah, Grealish is 1.
Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, that's 2.
Jeez. Matt Ritchie.
Richie Note.
No.
List.
Is it Longstaff? Did he start for Newcastle?
Longstaff, no, did not play.
Lascelles.
Lascelles, yeah.
Who do they have up front? Oh, it's going to really bug me now.
You're gonna kick yourself.
Give me a second. I've got 3, right? I need 2 more.
Yeah, you need 2 more. You've got
Target.
Target is 1 yet. So you got Target, Lascelles, Grealish, and who did you say? Mings. I'll give you 15 seconds
Yeah,
to
go
think of
on.
that. All right.
My mind's gone blank.
5,
Matty Cash. No, they bought him
4,
in the summer, didn't they?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, fuck is it?
You could have gone for Danny Rose, Esri Konsa, Courtney House, John Joe Shelby, Isaac Hayden, Dwight Gale, Andy
See,
Carroll.
I was gonna say Dwight Gale, but I had no,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was thinking I thought you'd get John Joe Shelby or Andy Carroll, and then Keenan Davis was probably one of the harder ones. But yeah, I don't know why you didn't get Carroll or Shelby.
Yeah, I should have just guessed,
Voldemort.
but I just thought Carroll was dead a beat for a long
Yeah,
time. So yeah, I thought he was at West Ham anyway last season. But
cool. Next question. Fulham play City. Both teams boasting some of the richest owners in the Premier League. But out of the two, Shahid Khan and Sheikh Mansour, Shahid Khan being Fulham's owner and City's
Mhm.
being Sheikh Mansour, who has the higher net worth?
I'm just gonna. I hope this isn't a trick question because I know it's so pissed off. But I'm gonna go Shahid Khan.
It's not. It's Sheikh Mansour.
I thought, you know what? This is why
Why?
you made it so easy that it made it out like it was a trick question. The
All right.
bottomless pit of money, and you made me think it was a trick.
Yeah. I
Turns
mean,
out I know
it's.
nothing about football.
I mean, he is like Shahid Khan is worth a fucking hell of a lot of money. He's worth 8 billion, but Sheikh Mansour is worth 17 billion.
So it wasn't as
It's
it
not.
wasn't
It's
as
yeah. It wasn't.
massively
Yeah,
as
they are both really like Shahid Khan is fucking minted.
So
Um,
yeah, this is gonna be another fucking great week.
NLD, North London Derby. In the Premier League era, out of these 3 options, who has scored the most goals in this fixture? Is it A, Harry Kane, B, Emmanuel Adebayor, or
Harry
C,
Kane.
Robbie Van Persie? It is Harry Kane. Right, yep. He's the record goal scorer with 11 goals, I believe. Manchester United. So you're one for 3 at the moment. Manchester United play West Ham. They host West Ham at Old Trafford this weekend. Nicknamed the Theatre of Dreams. Out of these 3 options, who coined that nickname? Was it A, Sir Matt Busby, B, Sir Bobby Charlton, or C, Dennis Law?
Is it Busby?
No, it's B, Bobby Charlton. Last question.
I fucking hate this game.
Leicester take on Sheffield United. Jamie Vardy came through the the team of Sheffield United's closest rival, Sheffield Wednesday. It's been a big thing, and he always enjoys scoring against Sheffield United. But in the Premier League, in their 3 meetings, how many times has he scored against Sheffield United? Is it A 2, B 3, C 4?
Let's just go A.
A2 is right. Yeah,
Woo! Got 2.
2,
2
2
out
out
of
of
5.
5. Better
Shocking.
improvement.
Shocking. Not happy.
There was a couple gimmies there, to be fair.
No, that Man City one I should have got, but
I
I
thought that
just
first one you were 100% going to get. There was 12 players. I thought you'd get at least 5.
yeah, mind fart. It's 10:15 at night as well now after a long day of work.
Oh,
I've got injuries at the back.
yeah.
We got no fans. Like
Just hold your ankles, start rolling around.
It's costing my performances.
Yeah. That wraps up the episode. I think we'll see if that's enough for you to survive for next week.
Yeah.
And yeah, so as you guys probably anyone who's watched any of the 2 other episodes, it'll be a head-to-head. So Himesh's scores will be plotted up against mine from next week. So do tune in for that episode. And we hope you enjoyed this one. So please leave us a like, comment, and do subscribe. It really helps us out. Our socials will be in the description. If you could follow our Instagram page.
We have a Twitter now as well.
And the Twitter. If you could follow both those, that'd be massive help. Really helps us get word out. Given that we're trying to get off the ground. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Peace.